The moment Cassie stepped onto the golden sand in her turquoise bikini, laughter erupted behind her. "Did someone beach a whale?" A sharp voice called out, followed by cruel giggles that cut through the ocean breeze like broken glass. Cassie Morgan, 28 years old, blonde hair cascading down her back, blue eyes bright with hope, had driven 6 hours to this coastal paradise, seeking peace. At 265 pounds of feminine curves, she'd become the target of Madison Pierce and her pack of mean girls. If you believe in second chances and powerful comebacks, hit that like button and follow this channel. Now, let me tell you how a summer of humiliation became the greatest love story this beach town had ever seen. Cassie had worked double shifts at the city hospital as a pediatric nurse to afford this vacation. Her 265 pounds had never bothered her until society decided they should. She'd packed her favorite swimsuits and sundresses that hugged her soft waist and full hips, dreaming of salt air and freedom. Her curves were generous, full breasts, round belly, thick thighs, and she'd learned to dress them with pride, even when the world told her to hide. This vacation was her reward for 2 years of saving and sacrifice. Madison Pierce had ruled Sunset Beach for 3 summers. At 26, with genetics and a trust fund, she'd never known what it meant to be anything but desired. Her Instagram boasted 200,000 followers who worshipped her flat stomach and thigh gap. She held court daily between the pier and surf shack, surrounded by disciples, thin, tanned, terminally afraid of carbs. Madison was everything society celebrated, size 2 with abs and attitude. The first microaggression came disguised as concern. Cassie had claimed a spot near the water when Madison's friend Brittany approached. "Honey, you might want more sunscreen. Burns show up worse on larger surface areas." The smile was saccharine, the intention poison. Cassie's cheeks flushed deeper than any sunburn could cause, her hands instinctively moving to cover her soft stomach. She forced a smile and nodded, pretending the words hadn't landed like daggers in her chest. By day 3, subtlety had evaporated. Cassie was building a sandcastle when Madison's group walked past, voices deliberately loud. "I can't believe some people have the confidence to wear bikinis at any size. I'd die of embarrassment." Another voice. "Clearly some people have no shame or mirrors. Can you imagine looking in the mirror at 265 pounds and thinking a bikini is appropriate?" The laughter was designed to carry, to wound, to remind Cassie her body was public property. The breaking point arrived on day 5 during the busiest beach hour. Cassie had finally worked up courage to enter the water, wading in, feeling the ocean embrace her body with acceptance humans denied. She was floating, eyes closed, when she heard gasps. Opening her eyes, she found phones pointed at her, Madison's crew filming and laughing. "Whale watching!" someone shouted. "Quick, call Greenpeace, we've got a beached one." Cassie couldn't breathe. She stumbled to shore, grabbed her towel and ran back to her cottage, leaving a trail of shame. Inside, Cassie collapsed on the bathroom floor, sobbing. Her reflection showed blonde hair tangled with tears, blue eyes defeated, curves that suddenly felt like crimes. Why did I think I deserved this? Why did I believe my 265 pounds belonged here? But then, a memory surfaced. Her grandmother, a woman called Big her whole life, had once told a boy who mocked her, "Baby, I've got more life in my pinky finger than you'll have in your whole narrow existence." When Cassie asked if the words hurt, her grandmother smiled. "Only if I give them permission to." The decision crystallized. Cassie could pack up, drive home, let Madison win, or she could stay, fight, refuse to give strangers permission to define her worth. For the first time in 5 days, she felt something other than shame. She felt anger, hot and clarifying. She stood up, washed her face, looked at herself again. Same blonde hair, blue eyes, curves. But something had shifted behind her eyes. When had she handed over her power to people who didn't matter? The next morning, Cassie walked into town and found a small cafe. She ordered the biggest breakfast on the menu and ate every bite without apology. As she ate, she noticed a flyer: Body Positive Beach Yoga, All Bodies Welcome, Sunrise Sessions. Below it, Sunset Beach Community Meeting, addressing harassment and bullying. Someone else had noticed. Maybe she wasn't alone. She took a photo of both flyers, determination building in her chest like a storm gathering strength. The rage finally boiled over as Cassie sat in that cafe, watching thin women jog past like they were chased by the very calories she was enjoying. She was done crying, hiding, shrinking herself. She pulled out her phone and researched body positivity movements, anti-discrimination laws, stories of women who'd fought back. She discovered that filming someone without consent could constitute harassment. She took screenshots, saved articles, built a case. If Madison wanted war, Cassie would show up prepared. Her first act of defiance was small, but significant. The next morning, Cassie returned to the beach at sunrise in her red bikini. She walked slowly, deliberately to the water's edge, her 265 pounds moving with grace. She didn't run or hide. She stretched her arms above her head, feeling her soft belly exposed to morning air, and smiled genuinely. An older woman with silver hair approached. "I'm Dorothy. I saw what happened. I've been coming here 40 years, watching girls like Madison come and go. You've got something real. Don't let them steal it." Dorothy handed her a card. "I run the Body Positive Yoga sessions, 6 a.m., about 15 of us. All shapes, all sizes, all done apologizing. Join us tomorrow. We've got your back." Dorothy squeezed her hand and walked away, leaving Cassie with something she hadn't felt in days: hope. That afternoon, Madison's shadow fell across Cassie's book. Still here? Most people know when they're not fitting in. The emphasis on fitting was cruel, but Cassie remembered Dorothy's words. She had backup now. That night, Cassie couldn't sleep. She replayed childhood moments, her mother's dieting, her father's comments, boys who'd asked her out as jokes. She'd spent 28 years believing her body was wrong. The root of her pain wasn't Madison. Madison was just the latest manifestation of a lifetime of messages. The next morning during yoga, Dorothy shared her story. A plus-size model in the 70s who'd refused to shrink. "They tried to make me smaller. I refused. I lost jobs, but never lost myself. Your 265 pounds are perfect, exactly as they are." Cassie practiced her voice in her cottage mirror. "My body is not your business. My existence is not up for debate. I deserve respect. My 265 pounds are mine to love, not yours to judge." The words felt foreign at first, but with repetition, they settled into her bones. She recorded herself, adjusted her tone until she sounded like someone who believed. The community was watching now. The cafe owner had seen Madison's videos. The surf shop owner had witnessed the harassment. A coalition was forming. Cassie wasn't fighting alone. Madison's weakness revealed itself accidentally. Cassie overheard two local guys. "Madison's been obsessed with Tyler all summer, follows him around. He's made it clear he's not interested, but she can't handle rejection. That's why she's been extra vicious, taking out her frustration on anyone near him. Especially that pretty blonde woman with the curves. Tyler can't stop watching her." Tyler. The name meant nothing to Cassie yet, but it was about to mean everything. The knowledge that Madison's cruelty was rooted in jealousy gave Cassie unexpected power. Cassie's plan formed during a sunset walk with her yoga friends. They'd occupy the beach as a group. 15 women of all sizes in bright swimsuits, claiming space, refusing to hide. They'd document everything, create their own narrative, flood social media with joy and acceptance to counter Madison's cruelty. If Madison interfered, they'd have witnesses, evidence, community support. Local business owners were ready to ban Madison's group if harassment continued. It was time to take back the beach. The revolution would be televised, but this time on their terms. The final preparation happened the night before. Cassie selected her outfit with warrior precision. Not the modest swimsuit, not the one that minimized curves, but the bright yellow bikini with high-waisted bottoms that made her feel like sunshine incarnate. celebrating every curve, every roll, every inch of her 265 pounds. She set her alarm for 5:30 and wrote in her journal, "Tomorrow, I stop apologizing for existing. Tomorrow, I take back my summer. Tomorrow, Madison learns that cruelty has consequences." She slept deeply, dreamlessly, ready for battle. The morning of the takeover, Cassie arrived with her yoga crew at 7 a.m. 15 women in vibrant swimsuits spread towels in a rainbow of defiance. Sizes ranged from 12 to 30, ages from 25 to 70. Cassie wore her yellow bikini like a declaration of war, her 265 pounds standing tall and proud. Madison arrived expecting to find their spot empty, only to discover it occupied by the very women she'd tried to make invisible. Her face contorted with rage. "This is our spot, you need to move." Dorothy stood slowly. "This beach belongs to everyone. These women have just as much right to be here." Cassie stood, her voice steady and clear. "For 5 days, you've filmed me, mocked me, tried to shame me into leaving. You've treated me like I'm less than human because I'm 265 pounds and you're a size 2. But my body is not an apology. It's not a before picture. It's not a problem that needs solving. It's just my body, and I'm done letting you make me feel like I need permission to exist in it." Her words carried across the beach with power she'd practiced in her mirror. The evidence came next. Maria from the cafe stepped forward with screenshots of Madison's Instagram posts with cruel captions. Jim from the surf shop had security footage of Madison's group knocking over Cassie's belongings. A teenager had recorded the whale-watching incident, capturing Madison's face clearly. The documentation was damning, irrefutable. Cassie took a step forward. Madison stepped back. "I'm not leaving. I paid for my vacation. I deserve to be here. If you continue harassing anyone, I'll file formal complaints with police and pursue legal action for harassment and cyberbullying. Your choice, Madison." The crowd erupted in support. A mother called out, "Good for you! My girls need to see this." A man started clapping. Applause rippled across the beach. Madison stood frozen, her face red with humiliation, perhaps the first time she'd experienced the emotion she'd inflicted on others. Her friends distanced themselves, loyalty evaporating. Madison tried one last manipulation, her voice wounded. "I was just joking. Can't you take a joke? Everyone's so sensitive. It's not my fault she's that size." The oldest trick, reframing cruelty as humor, making the victim responsible. "No," Cassie said firmly. "Jokes are funny to everyone involved. What you did was harassment, documented and witnessed. I'm not sensitive for having feelings about being publicly humiliated for weighing 265 pounds. I'm human. My size doesn't make me less deserving of respect. Your behavior makes you less deserving of the platform you've built." The crowd murmured approval, recording Cassie's dignity, her refusal to back down. Dorothy put her hand on Cassie's shoulder, solidarity and pride that brought tears to Cassie's eyes. Then came the unexpected revelation. A tall figure emerged from the surf, Tyler Chen, the beach's most sought-after surfer. Water streamed off his body, dark hair shining. His eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on Cassie. Madison's face lit with hope. Surely he'd defend her. She'd pursued him relentlessly all summer, but Tyler walked past Madison without a glance, stopped in front of Cassie, and smiled warmly. "Hey, I'm Tyler. I've been wanting to introduce myself all week, but you always seem to be dealing with distractions." The beach went silent. Madison's face drained of color, her body swaying. Everyone knew she'd been chasing Tyler all summer, and here he was, ignoring her completely, looking at Cassie like her 265 pounds in a yellow bikini were the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Madison made a strangled sound. Tyler glanced at her coolly. "Madison, I've told you 3 times I'm not interested. Maybe focus on being decent instead of chasing guys who aren't into you and bullying innocent women." He turned back to Cassie. "I saw what they did. I'm sorry I didn't step in sooner. I'm stepping in now." Tyler extended his hand to Cassie, helping her to her feet. Standing beside him, she felt something shift in the air, in the beach's energy, in how people looked at her. Not with pity or disgust, but respect and admiration. She'd stood up to her bully. She'd been supported by strangers who became allies, and now the most attractive man on the beach was looking at her, all 265 pounds, like she was exactly what he'd been searching for. Her hands trembled with adrenaline, but beneath the trembling was something solid: pride. She'd done it. New opportunities emerged immediately. Maria from the cafe proposed Cassie host a weekly body-positive brunch, creating safe space for women of all sizes. A local photographer asked her to model for a body-positive beach campaign. The community center wanted her to speak about standing up to harassment. Suddenly, Cassie's 265 pounds weren't a liability. They were part of a story that inspired others, opened doors, created connections she'd never imagined possible. Her body had become a platform for change. Cassie invested in herself in ways she'd been too afraid to before. She bought 3 new swimsuits celebrating her body: an emerald green one-piece, a floral bikini, a classic black tankini. She hired a local artist to teach her painting. She spent mornings doing yoga, afternoons reading fearlessly on the beach. Her transformation wasn't physical. Her body remained gloriously 265 pounds. But her presence changed. She walked differently, head high, shoulders back. She spoke clearly, no longer apologizing for taking up space. She dressed in bright colors and bold patterns. She'd stopped trying to disappear. Madison's current state was the talk of the beach. Her Instagram followers plummeted after witnesses posted harassment videos, brands dropping sponsorships. She'd been asked to leave local establishments. Her friends scattered. Cassie saw her occasionally, always alone, always watching from a distance, her thin body somehow looking smaller, diminished by lost power. Cassie felt something unexpected, not triumph, but pity. Madison had built her identity on being desired, on being thin, on being cruel. Without those things, she seemed lost, hollow, desperately trying to reclaim relevance. Tyler became a constant presence, but not as a rescuer. He showed up as a friend first, morning coffee, teaching her to surf, sunset walks, talking about everything and nothing. He told her about his life, raised by a single mom who taught him to value character over appearance, drawn to confident women who knew their worth. When a local reporter wanted to interview Cassie about body positivity, the old Cassie would have declined. But the new Cassie said yes. She sat for the interview in her yellow bikini on the same beach where she'd been humiliated and told her story without shame. The article response was overwhelming. Hundreds of comments from women sharing their own stories, messages from mothers thanking her for being a role model, local business support. Yes, there were cruel comments too, anonymous insults about her weight. But for every cruel comment, 10 supportive ones. Cassie learned something crucial. Opinions of strangers who didn't know, love, or matter to her couldn't define her worth. Only she could do that. She started a support group for women with body image issues. She volunteered at schools. She created an Instagram documenting her beach adventures, her 265 pounds celebrated in every photo. Her relationship with Tyler deepened naturally. One evening, watching the sunset, he took her hand. "I need you to know something. I'm not interested in you despite your body. I'm interested in you, period. Your curves, your confidence, your kindness, your strength. It's all part of who you are, and I'm attracted to all of it. I've never been into the Madison types. I like women who look like women, who eat without guilt, who take up space without apology. I like you, Cassie. All 265 pounds of you." They began dating officially. Cassie discovered what it felt like to be loved without conditions, without expectations to change or shrink or become someone else. Tyler loved her curves, told her she was beautiful, took photos she actually liked. They talked about their future, moving in together, building a life, maybe starting a non-profit focused on body positivity and anti-bullying. Tyler wanted to support her dreams. Cassie wanted to support his surf school, teaching kids confidence. They were partners, equals, two people who'd found each other because Cassie refused to hide, and Tyler refused to accept society's narrow beauty standards. The moment of victory came quietly. Cassie was walking down Main Street in a sundress, hugging her curves, Tyler's hand in hers, when she saw Madison coming toward them. For a split second, old fear tried to resurface, the instinct to shrink, to hide. But Cassie kept walking head high, her 265 pounds moving with confidence. As they passed, Madison looked away first, her thin frame hunched. Cassie felt nothing but peace. She'd won, not by becoming thin, not by getting revenge, but by refusing to let Madison's cruelty define her worth. Madison's final appearance came at the body-positive brunch. Madison showed up, standing awkwardly at the entrance, looking smaller and more uncertain than ever. The room went quiet. Cassie could have asked her to leave. Instead, she walked over. "You're welcome to stay if you're here to listen and learn. But if you're here to judge, the door is behind you." Madison's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, I was so jealous. Tyler never looked at me the way he looks at you. I couldn't understand why he'd want you instead of me." Cassie offered grace she didn't owe. "He wants me because I'm genuine, because I'm kind, because I know my worth. Those things have nothing to do with size, Madison. You could have had those qualities, but you chose cruelty. That's on you, not me. I hope you figure out who you are when you're not being mean." Madison nodded, tears streaming, and left. Cassie felt the final weight lift from her shoulders. She'd been the bigger person, not in body, but in spirit. And that was the only size that mattered. Her new life was established and thriving. She'd extended her vacation, then relocated permanently, finding a job at the local hospital and an apartment near the beach. Her 265 pounds walked the sand every morning, practiced yoga with Dorothy's growing group, hosted brunches bringing women together, fell more in love with Tyler daily. She'd published an essay that went viral, leading to speaking opportunities and a book deal. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was authentically hers, built on self-acceptance rather than self-loathing. She'd finally come home to herself. Cassie's story inspired ripples spreading far beyond Sunset Beach. Women shared stories online using "All Bodies Belong on the Beach." The tourism board launched a body-positive campaign. Schools invited Cassie to speak about bullying. Other beaches implemented anti-harassment policies. What started as one woman refusing to be shamed became a movement, proof that individual courage creates collective change. Cassie's 265 pounds became a symbol of resistance, of refusing to shrink, of taking up space unapologetically. She'd sparked a revolution simply by existing without apology. Her body was celebrated now, not fetishized, but genuinely appreciated. Tyler loved her curves. Her yoga friends celebrated her strength. Her brunch attendees saw her as inspiration. Hospital children loved her warm hugs. Cassie had spent 28 years believing her body was wrong. Now she understood. Her body had never been the problem. Society's narrow definition of beauty was the problem. And she was done conforming to problems. She was too busy being the solution. She'd become living proof that worth has nothing to do with weight and everything to do with character, courage, and compassion. The circle completed itself on what would have been her last day of a 2-week vacation, but had become a life transformation. Cassie returned to the exact spot where Madison first humiliated her. She spread her towel, wore her turquoise bikini, walked into the ocean. This time, when people looked, they smiled, waved, called greetings. A little girl pointed and said, "She's pretty." The mother smiled. "Yes, she is. All bodies are beautiful." Cassie floated in the water, her 265 pounds buoyant and free, tears of joy mixing with salt water. She'd done it. She'd changed the system too. The beach had posted policies against harassment and body shaming. Local businesses formed a coalition supporting body positivity. The community center offered free workshops on self-esteem and standing up to bullies. Madison's reign of terror ended not with her triumph, but with her exile, while Cassie's courage created lasting change, future women wouldn't fight the same battles. They'd arrive at a beach that was safer, kinder, more accepting, and they'd have Cassie's story as proof that standing up to bullies wasn't just possible, it was necessary for everyone's freedom. Tyler found her in the water, swimming out to join her. "Ready?" he asked, referencing their plan to drive back to the city tomorrow, pack up her apartment, and move her life here permanently. Cassie nodded, her heart full. They'd build a life together, moving in, maybe starting a non-profit focused on body positivity and anti-bullying. They were partners, equals. Her new dream was bigger than ever imagined. Cassie wanted to write a book, create a documentary, start a foundation, change laws around harassment. Her 265 pounds had become a platform to lift other women up. They swam back to shore together, hand in hand, water streaming off their bodies. Cassie's yellow bikini was bright against her skin, her blonde hair shining, her blue eyes clear and happy. She looked around at the beach that had been her battleground and was now her home. She thought about everything that had happened, everything she'd learned, everything she'd become, and she smiled because she finally understood she'd always been enough. She just needed to believe it, and now that she did, nothing and no one could ever take that belief away again. Cassie Morgan arrived at Sunset Beach at 265 pounds and left at 265 pounds. But everything else had changed. Her confidence, her voice, her understanding of her own worth, her refusal to ever again apologize for existing in the body she was born to inhabit. Your body is not your limitation. Your voice matters. Your story isn't over. You deserve to take up space, to be seen, to be celebrated exactly as you are. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. If this story moved you, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Subscribe for more stories of women who refuse to be small. I'll see you in the next one.